Well, here we are again. It's Sara and Audrey, and sadly, this is going to be our final broadcast today, and we will have to try to get together soon to do another one. But I actually, when we were talking about what we were going to talk about today, Sara asked me about some possible topics, and really we could just kind of fly by the seat of our pants because we have so many topics that we talk about, not on Facebook Live and on podcasts. But this one I really was really fresh in my mind because last weekend I was at this training at this place called 1440 Multiversity, and I was with my year-round camp director team, and the training that we were participating in was a leadership training with John Gordon and Ken Blanchard. But I looked, when I got there, they have other trainings going on simultaneously. So there's multiple things going on. And one of the speakers who was there this weekend, her name is Shasta Nelson. And this is a picture of her book, so I'll tell you about it more. But I actually knew about Shasta before because one of my friends had told me about her website, because I have been really interested in studying social skills and friendship in kids since I did my master's a few years ago. And so I've really been just anything to do with kind of friendships, relationships, and social skills I've really been interested in. So my friend told me about this website, and it's called girlfriendcircles.com.
Oh, I've heard of it.
You have?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's her. This is her. She's
so
so she's the, she started that website, and basically it came from, she moved to a new city as an adult woman. And she tells the story of, standing outside a coffee shop and seeing this group of women having coffee together.
And missing it so much.
And just saying, oh my gosh, I need friends here. And how difficult it is to make friends as an adult. Because and she explains the whole thing, that the reason we think of a lot of times that we think of our childhood and adolescent and college friends as being our closer friends is because we had consistency with them. A lot of consistency and lots of shared memories and lots of, the increasingly vulnerable, moments we went through things together. And so oftentimes as we get older, and life kind of takes over and we have our kids and our marriages and all these things, a lot of times our friendships lose they're just not as strong.
They suffer.
And one of her things that she's actually now starting to talk, men came to the talk at the workshop too, and her next book is going to be about just friendship in the workplace. Because this is a really important topic for men as well as women. And I think we know from camp that the kids, their friendships and those relationships are the most important thing that they get out of
camp. More than any activity, it's the relationships.
And I think that one of the reasons is the consistency and that time. I mean,
they really log a lot of time, 24/7.
Yeah. And so it's the difference of, so when you think about, or if you and we've been to conferences together, or if you go on a weekend retreat with a girlfriend, okay, which I know you do, and I'm going to ask you about those. If you go on a weekend retreat with some of your good girlfriends and you spend, I don't even know, 20 hours talking and doing things together, whatever it is, that is the equivalent of meeting someone for coffee or lunch 20 times.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's a combination of that friendships develop and grow and get stronger from the time that you've spent together. And you only can really develop that kind of intimacy, but she stopped using the word intimacy and made up the word frientimacy, because intimacy people always relate to sexual relationships. And so it just has a connotation that she wanted to, that's not what she's talking about, but she's talking about that kind of really close friendship that usually you don't have with that many people.
Right.
But it's so important in life, because loneliness is pretty much, like she said, is no different from hunger, thirst, or exhaustion, but it's one that has a lot of shame attached. And it's also right now at epidemic proportions.
Probably because of technology.
Maybe so. Yes. Yeah. And so it really got me thinking, both over the weekend, first of all, how thankful I am for my really good friends, of which you're one of them.
Thank you.
And started thinking about how do you, find and keep and nurture those adult friendships. And also the importance that if we want our kids to have really good friendships and to become flourishing adults, we really need to show them that what that looks like is us keeping friendships going. Right. So tell me, first of all, I love your story about like post-college and your group of friends. So talk about that group of friends that you're still so closely connected with and how you have, as a group, maintained your connections, even despite geographic challenges.
Sure. Well, after college, I had the opportunity to move to Washington, D.C. and lived on Capitol Hill, which I thought would be like a 3-month internship in a congressman's office, but it ended up being 7 years, not in the congressman's office, changed jobs and all that. But this group of us developed a really fast friendship. Now, in a town like that, you had lots of transplants coming and eager to make friends. So we didn't have the challenge of when you move into a new neighborhood and there's all those established friendships and it's hard to break in. That wasn't the case for us. The case was dozens and dozens and dozens of young college graduates hungry for friends and activity and excited about this new Washington, D.C. experience. After those 7 years and living together and having all manner of fun and chaos together and learning hard things together and learning how to pay bills and all those things, we all kind of scattered all over the United States. There are about 10 of us, however, that have stayed close friends.
That's more than I even thought. Wow.
Yeah. And while I am more connected and in touch with some, every 2 years for the last 20 some odd years, we have a reunion, and it's somewhere across the United States. It changes from East Coast, Mid and West Coast, and as many as can come will come for a 3-day weekend. So in October, we were outside of Boulder in Colorado. Wonderful Cheryl hosted, and we just had a time. We talk our heads off. We laugh like crazy. We hike. We talk about kids and family and faith, and we pray for each other. We wrestle with hard questions about work. And if you miss one of those, gosh, then it's 4 years before you see some of that. But that counting on every 2 years and the priority that everybody's made to do that is really quite something. You know, saving up resources, having the childcare, having spouses or family who will cover the little kids when we all had little ones, and you know, or bringing the little ones with. So that has really kept that circle of friends alive. But there's a subset from that circle who over a year ago, I was challenged at actually a camp conference to select some friends to do what's called the 3 good things habit.
Oh, I love that.
Yes. And we were supposed to do it for 2 weeks, but we're on month 14. And so I asked these 3 of my DC friends, you know who you are, and you know a couple of them, that at the end of the day, we would get on a group text and we would just name 3 good things of the day. 1, 2, 3. And we don't usually preface it. Sometimes we do. We don't often explain it. I always do because I talk a lot. But it might be 1, beautiful sunset. Might be 2, my daughter finally cleaned up her clothes in the laundry room. Number 3, had a great conversation with my dad who has dementia, but today he remembered so much. And that's all I'll say, and I'll hit send. And these 3 friends now kind of know what my day was like. And I go to bed really enriched with gratitude, and we sleep. The research on gratitude, you know, is just crazy town. That's another podcast. Right. But we sleep better, we view the world better, and we remind each other to stay grateful. So any given day, and most nights, 2 to all 4 of us will shoot GTs, good things. And then sometimes we'll flesh it out. And sometimes if it's been a really challenging or hard day, we'll add a prayer request on the end, and that's valuable and worthwhile too. But it has helped the 4 of us stay, and we're all across the country, right? The 4 of us, and it has been so enriching. I hope we never stop, because it has changed my end of day. Right. It has changed the depth of our friendship. Yes. And my daughter will sometimes say, "Is that going to be one of your good things?" Yeah, it's very dear.
Gosh, that is beautiful. I'm going to completely copy you.
Oh, please do. It's awesome.
I love that idea so much. I can't even tell you. First of all, you also have created this way to connect on a really deep level to keep that consistency and the vulnerability. Where you're sharing, right. You're sharing what's going on, and that's what keeps you connected. The other thing that's really great is, even though you have this distance, because you're doing that, when you do get together in person, you don't have to waste a lot of time on just the catch up.
Right.
You can get deep fast. So one of the things that Shasta said, and I thought this was really good, one of the questions that someone asked, I guess in Shasta's life, she has like a girlfriend's dinner every Tuesday.
Oh, fabulous.
And people were like, how do you do that with the schedule? And what she said really resonated with me, and something that I've thought about how I really want to get something that's that regular. Because what she said is when you say to a friend, oh, we're going to have coffee, every third Thursday, we're going to have coffee once a month. So then one or the other of you is sick or traveling or something's wrong with the kids. So then it's 2 months.
2 months.
Like your friends who missed the 2-year thing, then it's 4 years. And so she was saying having a consistent thing, especially if you start when your kids are young and you have a little group that is, your buddies that you get along with or whatever, your family gets used to it. It can be like dad's night with the kids that they always have macaroni and cheese. It can be, it can become a sub tradition for them.
Sure.
And it doesn't become a battle. Like, where are you going? What are you doing? It's just sort of part of your rhythm. So I don't know, maybe dinner isn't the thing. Maybe there's, book clubs. One of the reasons that like book clubs and bunko and those things are good is because if there's any kind of regularity, it makes, or Bible study groups, that kind of thing. It's like, because it pulls you together. And if you miss one, it's next week again.
Right.
And so I thought about that because I've really lately, I just really have kind of not been doing anything like that regular. And so that's one of my goals after kind of getting inspired was, I'm definitely in a stage where, first of all, my kids are getting older anyway. And so I really don't need to, be as available to them all the time. They, whatever. And I also have the freedom. I could do lunches or coffee or whatever, but I'm really thinking about just that concept of friendship. So just, I guess, do you have anything local that you do similar to that? Or is that more so what are your local things with people?
Well, I just, I think it was 6 years and we just ended this last month, but I was in a small group at my church, once a week for 6 years.
Wow.
And we would read really challenging faith-based books and chew on them and have different perspectives. So it was kind of like a Bible study, but brought in some other resources, and that was very enriching and helped me grow. And then, but we're going to curtail that. And so I actually will be looking for a new kind of faith-based small group to get, whether it's a Bible study or something like that. But
did people just decide that it wasn't working, or people were dropping off, or what was happening?
Well, it was a combination, but there are times when there's something you do for a long time, and then pretty soon you realize it's either time for us to, a couple of people need to not do it anymore because their life has changed enough, or it's time to, maybe the needs of the group has shifted. And have you ever been a part of something when, wow, we really should have put it to bed, but we kept it going and it kind of got off track of what it was supposed to be? So we talked about there are times to, there's, a time to sow and a time to reap. There's time to start and there's time to close. So we closed really well. We went out to dinner. We just had the best time. We remembered different books we'd read and laughed hard. So it was really sweet. And we stay in touch. I see them at church and around, but that's a shift. But 6 years with that group was really meaningful. Also, every other Monday morning, early, I have coffee with 2 friends who are some soulmates of mine who really speak a lot of wisdom into me. We kind of joke about, everybody asks these really thoughtful questions and you're like, oh, I never would have thought about that on my own. Right. So these 2 friends, it's pretty much every other Monday, except in the summer when I'm gone at summer camp. I'm a really fortunate person that I have
so many good,
some really wonderful friends. And even the people I work with are very, very close friends, because we've been through a lot together, the same as you. We get to do really meaningful work. I think it's a bigger challenge when your kids are very, very small and the demands are so high, or if you're single parenting, or if you're new to a town and trying to find the avenue to connect. Those are critical times for, okay, gosh, how do I find a community? And it's that, it's kind of takes discipline to keep putting yourself out and be consistent until you find that 1 or 2, or sometimes, more people.
Tribe,
a tribe.
Gosh, that's so beautiful. I'm inspired because I have some really dear friends who live really close to me, and we have struggled with getting together regularly. Like I have one good friend who we're trying to walk every Friday, and we've done it twice, So that is one of my goals, is to be more very intentional. And the other thing I found is if you put it on your schedule as a weekly thing, you do it.
Right.
It becomes more, but if you try to just like coordinate a time.
Yeah, it doesn't work as well. I mean, it really has to be an appointment.
Yes.
Like, I have an appointment every other whatever with my dermatologist or whoever,
So you're like, is your Monday morning early? It's on your calendar.
Yeah, it says, if you look every other Monday. Now we don't do like if it's a holiday week, like, if it's spring break, we're going to miss that. But it's every other Monday. It's written down 8:00.
That's
Len and
so
Tracy.
good.
There we go. We meet the same place. It's always the same.
So you don't even have, that's another great thing.
You don't have to decide when.
Yep, that is so good.
Yeah.
And if
or maybe it's a walk, you meet to walk.
So good. Okay. Well, I'm inspired about that because I think deepening, it's not just making friends. And this is part of what I've learned with the kids. So the first step is, you have to put yourself out there and make people try to, meet some people who kind of mesh with you and you can have this like nice mutual friendship with. But then it's like you can have a lot of people that you are kind of friends with.
Acquaintancy.
Yes. Yeah. And what we really need is that deeper connection. And it doesn't need to be with that many people.
Right.
But it is really important to nurture those. And I feel like you have been such a good friend to me during these past couple of years and have just poured in so much good wisdom about some things like, with parents and aging parents and some of those things. And I mean, you've really made me laugh. I was thinking about like my good friends, and Sarah's one of my really close friends, and some of the texts that we send each other.
We can't share them on this podcast.
We cannot share them but it's like knowing that, and I think Brene Brown talks about like that vault thing.
Yes.
Like we have that where we know we can pretty much tell each other anything about with our families, camp, life, whatever, our parents.
There's a lot of grace.
And knowing that it's such a nice feeling knowing that, like when you send me one of your funny stories about something that's happened, I'm like, oh gosh, you know what? That makes me feel better about my things.
Sure.
And it just kind of is this nice going back and forth of just knowing that it just makes you feel less alone because we all have these struggles and it's really not appropriate to share those struggles with people you don't know.
Yes.
Not appropriate. Well, to me, I wouldn't put things on Facebook that I'm going through with my kids or my parents or whatever. But having that person or two who you either meet with regularly or connect with regularly, who you just know they're going to be there for you if something you really need support or help, or you want to celebrate something.
Yes.
And that was the thing that Shasta said last week that really resonated with me. So everyone's been talking about vulnerability from the perspective of like shameful things, like your deepest, darkest secrets and all this stuff. And she said, vulnerability is not just the negative things.
Oh,
it's also being able to say things that you're really proud of.
Yeah.
Like that's a vulnerable thing too, to say, you know what, I had this experience and I felt really good about it and it was so fun. And, you can't say that to people you don't know either because it sounds like bragging and obnoxiousness, but with people that you're really close to, they will be so excited for you.
That is a great point. And then, it really does spread the power of that celebration because we all benefit when one of us has a win.
Yes.
Yeah. So I love that.
I know. Okay. So
also I have to mention the amount of mutuality that say you and I enjoy
is unusual.
It's just one, you pour into each other, you make each other laugh. You can be self-deprecating. You can both screw up. You can both say, what about this? I think that at camp, we talk about friend making skills and friend keeping skills. And friend keeping skills are different ones. They are much more about being open and vulnerable, about forgiving, about sometimes listening more than we talk, initiating again and again and maybe again. And so to have those conversations with our kids or with our friends and say, okay, what are the friend keeping skills that we want to make sure are a part of this friendship? Or, hey, I'm new in this area, or I'm lonesome. I want to develop some deeper friendships. Think, what makes a friend to you? List just 2 of those things and invest in that. And it's remarkable how when we focus on friend keeping skills, that we find our way there. And I love how Madeline Levine, she was speaking close by last month. Recently, and I've heard her say this a few times. She's an author and researcher and just a fabulous person. If you've never read How to Raise an Adult, please do that.
Wait, that's Julie Lithgow.
Oh, that's Julie Lithgow.
Which one are you talking about? The Price of Privilege and Teach Your Children Well?
Teach Your Children Well.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry. Teach Your Children Well. These are all very excellent books. But I love how Madeline Levine says, one of our jobs as adults is to teach our children that it's fun to be an adult. Because if they only look at us and see, wow, mom's always a harried wreck, dad's always cranky about finances, or whatever, or it's always chores, mom only does chores and serves me. Well, our kids aren't going to want to grow up and be adults. But if we demonstrate to our kids, our friendships are rich, we do make time for fun, we can live simply too, we forgive each other and you, then we actually demonstrate that being an adult is a pretty groovy thing.
Oh my gosh, that's such, we talk a lot about that. Modeling is so important. And that was kind of why I wanted to do this topic, because I think one of the best ways that we can coach our kids and help them have good friendships is by showing them what good friendships look like, and showing them that we prioritize our friendships and are going to spend the time developing those friendships because they're so important to us. And it's just, I just love this whole thing, and just the connection thing. We're talking about this TED Talk that has been going around, and I think I shared it on Sunshine Parenting even, but it was talking about the things that predict good health and longevity. And at the very top of the list are relationships and like connection with others. And so
more important than good nutrition and not smoking.
Right. And so I was like, okay, I'm so relieved I don't have to lose the 10 pounds because weight isn't that important. Exercise, I like to walk and exercise, but it's actually not as important. It's actually walking with a friend is perfect.
Yeah, it absolutely. It's perfect.
Talking.
Yes, I love it.
But I've had so many reminders lately that just about, hey, what's really important? And I think, as you get older, I think you really get more focused on just these things. So if we can inspire like any younger parents out there to just take care of yourself, focus on your friendships, work on deepening those friendships with your, even if it's just with one or two people. Yeah. And if you're in friendships that don't have the mutual kind of thing, keep looking. It's worth finding those people that have that mutual. And there was one thing I wanted to tell you that I also learned at this thing that was really interesting. So Shasta talked about how when people get in this rut of thinking that friendship and invitations is like a tennis tournament, like I invited you to coffee last week. I'm just waiting for you to invite me. She said, like other things, some people are a lot better at reaching out and inviting.
That is true.
And if you start getting, if you have a friend whom you're the one always initiating, it can get kind of frustrating. But if the connection and when you are together is, meaningful, I thought that was interesting because I know that we all have friends like that who are maybe not as consistent as we would like. And I'm sometimes that friend where I want to reach out. I want to reach out and I think about calling them and I want to be with them. And then yet for whatever reason, I don't do it. And then like weeks go by and I was like, oh, this is my really good friend. And I haven't even like texted her in like 2 weeks. So I love your regular texting thing. I think that's a great idea. Okay. So any other thoughts on adult friendships that you want to share as we close out?
I think that, this is fresh in my mind because last night my husband and I went out to dinner with another couple. And I would, if your husband or if you and your partner also could consider staying consistent with some friends, that's really enriching to Steve and my relationship too. So about quarterly, we have dinner with this couple and we talk about everything under the sun. They're bright and funny. Mostly we laugh really hard and we try new cocktails each time. just one new cocktail. But not only is it fabulous to have a friendship with them, but it enriches my husband and my relationship too, because we actually learn new things about each other as we're in dialogue with them. So again, during those busy stages, those dark years, we called them, of life where you barely see.
We called it the red zone.
That time period.
You're in the red zone.
And you're just running so lean. If there's a way, even if it's very simple, hey, can we sit with you at the soccer game and just, be together as couples, or, making sure we're breaking each other, giving each other a little space to go have a boys' weekend or a girls' weekend, or just a boys' hour or a girls' hour. we are building them up and they are building us up, and it's just a high priority.
Oh gosh, I totally second that. We have one couple that literally, like, we're both, you know, we're all friends, like, and we're friends, and it's so magical if you have a couple that you all like each other.
And it's kind of rare.
It is.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes, like, your friend, maybe, you know, just different interests.
They don't click.
So to have, if you have one of those or a couple of those, it's amazing.
It's bonus.
So anyway, thanks for talking or joining us about friendships. If you have ideas or thoughts about how to nurture and deepen your adult friendships, please share in the comments. And thank you so much for watching our final Facebook Live video
of the day.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.